everybody. Welcome to another Intent Company Live. It is March 4th. We're entering into week 8. So that means that we are on number 36. 36 today of 36 consecutive lives. If you haven't been watching, check out the very first live where we talk about why we're doing all these 75 lives, why we're kicking inconsistency in the teeth, why we're doing all this stuff. So today's an exciting one. Been pondering, talking to some people about the idea of momentum. And so I have some ideas and some thoughts around how we can utilize, how can we be more intentional about creating momentum and even deconstructing momentum. Because, we often use the word momentum in a positive light, but if you think about it, everything in our lives has a flow. And there's some things that we have a flow going on that are not the best aspects of our life, not the things that we want the most of. So we can deconstruct some of that as well. So that's what we're going to get into today. So just to kind of give you the rundown here, we are doing 75 lives, meeting at 5 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday, most days. Some days we switch it up a little bit. I want you to go over to intentcompany.com/live. Yeah, Chelsea just put the link to the very first IC Live in the comments, so you can check it out there. And so, we're doing lots of cool stuff during these 75 days. And one of which is we're selling our Focus and Fire workshop for a ridiculously low $200. It's a $2,000 workshop. It's actually, when we do this live and in person, it's like a $15,000 workshop. But we have a digital version for $2,000. And during these 75 lives, we're discounting it 90%. You get it for $200. And then we're taking all of the money that you paid for it, and we're going to give it all directly to Feed the Hungry, a great program, great ministry. Recommend you check them out. But go to intentcompany.com/live for more info. Also, follow us on all the different socials. Right? Follow us all the places. You're probably watching this right now on social media because that's where we're broadcasting it. But check us out on the other ones. So you can just go to anything at Intent Company or just go click on the links on the live. Speaking of the socials, you can help us out, get the word out for these IC Lives by doing a few things to help us out.
Hey guys, welcome back. And make sure to smash that like button, subscribe, and make sure to hit that bell for notifications.
Thank you, Braden. Yeah, so do the like, do the share, do the subscribe. Like I mentioned, Braden's been starting soccer practice. We're doing all this stuff. We had a game on Saturday, scored like the goal of the game. It was fire. Up the right sideline, a little bit of room. Whew. Proud dad moments. You know what I mean? So, Bray's a little baller when it comes to soccer. So thanks, Bray, for doing that. But yeah, help us out. Just engage with the content. I got a lot of people that are like, oh yeah, I watched this, I watched that. I'm like, man, leave a comment, hit the like button, do something. Help us kick these algorithms in gear. So also on intentcompany.com/live, you can get access to our customer journey assessment. It's a place where you get to just see how well you're doing at customer journey marketing. Also our Intent Company group. So you can access our private portal. You get free trainings and tools and templates and workshops and all kinds of good stuff in there. And then if you are a healthy company, you got a good stream of customers, I want you to check out the WOW Campaign Blueprint, because this is the place that we help you turn your customers into raving fans. How do you get your customers to buy more, review more of your products, services, and tell more people about you. So it's a really cool automated system that we have developed. So there it is. All right, momentum. You need some mo in your life. So let me, been taking some notes on this idea. Let me pull them up real quick. So as I was mentioning in the intro, momentum's interesting because it's not just, we're not dealing just with positive things when we're dealing with momentum in our life, right? Like there's actually like a flow to how things go. Let me share like with a few different examples, right? You got to think of like the important aspects of our life, right? You got to think about relationships, think about fitness, eating well, obviously like business activities, things like that, right? So there's a flow. There's times where it's easy to work out and you're just doing it every single day. There's times where it's easy to eat well. There's times where like your relationships that you have just seem meaningful and fulfilling, and they're easy, and there's just a flow. You're in the river, you're flowing, right? But again, that flow can also be in the wrong way. You can be in a relationship where, man, it just seems like everything you do, everything you say, just it's a momentum towards negative things, right? You have a momentum to not working out. You have a momentum to not eating well. So if you think about it, like everything has this flow, right? Actually, here I pulled up. I like doing this sometimes. We have common phrases that we talk about, right? Like momentum. Everybody kind of knows that word, but do they really know that word, kind of thing, right? It's like so familiar that we don't really understand it. So let me read a couple definitions that I got off of Merriam-Webster's website for the phrase momentum. Okay, it says a property of a moving body that determines the length of time required to bring it to a rest when under the action of constant force or momentum, right? So it's kind of like this idea of things are flowing in a certain way. There's a certain momentum, a certain flow, and how long does it take for that flow to end? Now that's really insightful when you think about things again like fitness, right? Because there's usually things that we got to do to get ourselves pumped up to maybe be working out all the time, right? Maybe you've got, and we'll talk about this stuff, for like accountability and, setting ourselves up for success and things like that, right? So we build momentum, but why don't we always just stay on momentum, right? You've probably started good habits. You've done good things. Why don't you just keep flowing, keep going in that area? Well, because we tend to stop doing the thing that we did to get there, and then it slows down, right? The fire dwindles. If you don't keep throwing wood on the fire, it'll burn out. It'll fade away, right? So this definition is talking about momentum is kind of like the measurement by which if you stop doing the things that you know you needed to do to give you that force and to keep going in the direction that you knew was positive and you wanted to go in, how long would it last before it fades? You got to think about that. There's certain things in your life that, if you could go a week maybe not doing some of the stuff that you know you should do, and you're still good. You're still flowing. You're good. Because you've built up such momentum. You've built up so much force, so much forward motion. And obviously, habits and all this other stuff play a role in it. But then there's other aspects of your life, maybe new habits that you're trying to get into, certain things. And man, if you don't do the right thing for a day or 2 days, boom, all of a sudden you're off. You're on a whole different trajectory, right? So we got to understand that. Okay, the second definition for momentum, I like this one. It says strength or force gained by motion or by a series of events. Strength or force, so like force towards something that's gained by, I like that, by a series of events. Because isn't that really how it happens? Isn't that how there's a series of events that are intentional, right? Like our company, Intent Company, our the men's ministry, Intent Man. We have this idea of intent. Why? Because there can be intentional series of events that actually propel you on a certain trajectory, that you gain force, that you gain momentum, you gain power by. And if you don't apply an intentional series of events, guess what happens? Another series of events. The stuff that happens, the opposition, the difficulties, the frustration, that this person said that happened, that bill came up, this thing broke, right? Stuff is going to happen constantly. And you're either in a position where all these external sources just happen to you, and you happen to be where you are, and if good things happen, then you're happy, right? Bad things happen to you, you're sad, right? And it's all kind of this haphazard, just the way that the flow of life gets you, and sometimes you're going good, sometimes you're going bad, and it's all circumstantial. That is a very weak way to live. That is a very, very weak way to live, where we are subject to our circumstances. Actually, my brother has a really cool way of explaining it. He says, oh gosh, I'm going to break it, but like our lives should not be a thermometer in direct response to our environment, right? And a lot of people live like that. Like, your internal thermometer, am I doing good? Am I doing bad, right? Is almost measured by the temperature of the environment. If people around me, things are going good, then I'm doing good. If things are doing bad, I'm doing bad. If that's the case, man, then we're on the roller coaster ride of life constantly. Instead, we need to dictate the series of events that propel us into our desired destination, okay? So let's talk about some things. So let's talk about the things that can happen to. So here's the thing: you've had moments of great momentum, right? In your business, you've had moments where you're making the sales calls, you're doing the videos, right? Like I'm doing these lives. Why? To create momentum. Why? Because I'm sick and tired of me not creating content. I'm sick and tired of hiring two video professionals on my team, and I don't make any content, right? Yeah, they work on our client stuff and this and that, but what am I doing? I'm not making any content. I got sick and tired of not doing that. So I had to change a series of events in a certain way, right? So you've had momentum in your life in many areas. You have momentum right now. There's a certain flow. So what stops the flow? I'm going to start a little anti and then we'll just go on the positive thing, right? What changes or what is the things that sabotage positive momentum in our lives? Okay? Because we got to think about that. We got to be aware of the things that come against our positive momentum. Okay? I think the first thing is kind of what I'm talking about. Lack of focus or direction. It's really hard to stay in the flow of where you're going if you don't know where you want to go. Right? You got to think, so often it's the cares of life. The winds of life blow and we end up going over here, we're going over there. One of the most important reasons why we set really strong goals, and we have a whole workshop on goal setting. I think we did it back in week 1. One of the most important reasons that we are intentional about dictating where we want to go, our direction, our focus, our everything, is because it fixes our gaze in a certain direction. And we got to say, that's the place that I want to go. And if I'm not fixed on that, I'm not paying attention to that, I'm not looking to that, then the wind's going to easily blow me over here and over there. And all of a sudden, I am 20 degrees off course, and I didn't even realize it. I didn't even know. It actually takes the negative momentum, the negative flow, the negative stuff to come in so bad that I feel so much pain that I'm like, why am I here? And then you're like, wait a minute, I want to get over there. So we want to create direction, goals, focus to make sure that we're headed towards where we want to go. That is super important, right? Number 2 thing that can definitely stop our momentum is actually burnout. So this is kind of interesting because if you think about momentum, you're like, okay, I'm going towards a certain effort. Here's the interesting thing about making progress. It's like a flywheel, okay? A flywheel takes the most amount of effort at first to get going, but then the momentum kind of keeps it propelling and makes it easier. So you can't go 110 miles an hour at all times, but you may need to go 110 miles an hour to switch your direction. If you've been flowing off course, you're going to need to put in the most amount of effort, the most kind of thing to kind of redirect you back and to get you going in a positive direction. So you want to apply force early and hard and go at it, and then not go easy, not give up on it, but you want to get into a flow that's maintainable. You want to be able to maintain it, right? So don't burn yourself out, because if you burn yourself out, you're going to give up. You're going to go, I got to stop doing this. I'm going to take a break. And, this is difficult. Working out, it's really hard. Well, don't start working out and then you just smash it so hard that you're sore for 4 days. You can't walk. You take 3 days off. What? You kill the momentum. No, work hard to get your butt in the gym. And when you're there, go easy on yourself. Just get there. Do something. Make some work. And then you get momentum. Then you're going. Then you're feeling strong. And all these things are kicking in. And you just, boom, you keep going. Right? So you got to be careful for burnout. The next thing you got to be careful of is negative mindset. So, man, I did a whole thing, I think, last week on what we think, what we say, what we do. Self-doubt, being negative, complaining, Any of that stuff is going to kill your progress. And this is one of the weird conundrums when you're first getting going. When you're first getting going towards something to create momentum, you're not great at it. But the point is, kind of like my last point, the point is not to be great at it, right? Oh, I'm just going to start working out and then I'm going to clean and jerk 225. Like, no, that's not the point. The point is get your butt in the gym. The point is to start writing the book. The point is to start making progress, but you're not going to be great at it, right? Every great endeavor, you just don't all of a sudden like you're perfect. You just got to get in the flow and get going. So like think about that with writing a book, right? Maybe you want to write a book. Well, you need to write every day. I'm going to write every day for 15 minutes, right? Well, yeah, that takes a lot of willpower just to sit in front of the computer and hit the 15-minute timer. Then you go to write and you're like, I am right? And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot. This is stupid. This is never going to work. I'm never going to write this book. Dude, you're going to absolutely fulfill every prophetic voice that you just spoke over yourself. You're going to completely live up to the expectations. The point is for you not to sit down on your first day and to write a John Maxwell leadership masterpiece. No, the point was for you to sit down and push the keys and do it for 15 minutes. And you should be proud of yourself and be like, I did it. I got here. I did the work. I've got 1.5 sentences and they're a little shaky, but you know what? I'm going to be here again tomorrow. I'm going to do 15 minutes more tomorrow. And then you know what? It might be a little weird. You might take a week, might take 2 weeks, depending on what you're doing. But all of a sudden, as flow kicks in, as momentum kicks in, as the repetitions of you doing it, you're like, you know what, man? I just knocked out a few paragraphs. I'm actually feeling good. Actually, I'm in so much momentum that I'm going to stop this 15-minute timer. I'm going to go for 45 minutes. So you get there, but you got to be super careful about what you think, what you say, because that's going to impact what you do. If you think you're going to suck at something and you think it's a waste of time, and then you out of your mouth say that this is stupid, you'll never be successful, you're never going to make it, you're a loser, guess what? You absolutely going to get everything that you said about yourself. So you can't allow that to happen, okay? Number 4 aspect that's going to kill your momentum is lack of accountability. Okay, lack of accountability. So that means that if you don't have some mechanism in place that's going to give you some level of accountability to keep going, you're going to fizzle. All right. And some people that have this thing like, oh, I'm so afraid of maybe telling people I'm going to do something because then if I don't do it, I'm going to look like an idiot and I just don't want to put that pressure on me. It's like, you know what? You need some pressure. If it's worth doing, this is like, if it's important enough, if this is important enough to do, then you need some pressure. So like, again, I forgot that there was some study that was done and I won't even say the numbers, I'll butcher it, but there was something about how important having a workout buddy was for you to actually working out, right? If you have somebody that is expecting to meet you at the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning, the likelihood that you show up there is exponentially higher than if you're like, well, I'm just going to do it on my own and this and that. Also, just the workout itself. I remember with me and some buddies back at an old job I had, we had about 3 or 4 of us. We'd go work out every day. And man, I worked out way harder. Why? Accountability, yes, and I was kind of a competitive jerk. So, I wanted to smash on the person next to me, right? Kind of got a little bit of the competitive juices going in a real healthy way. And we would push each other. We'd hold each other accountable. If, one of us was like, man, I got to work through lunch today. They'd, call you some names that I can't say on a Intent Company Live to motivate you to get down there and do it. All right? And that's good. That's good. That's a positive peer pressure, right? That's you creating an accountability system of people that hold you accountable to it so that you push through some of the difficulties. When I started doing lives, I didn't keep the fact that I wanted to do 75 lives a secret. It would have been very easy for me to go, like, nobody who goes live every single day for like 30 minutes, an hour. Nobody does that, right? So I didn't have to make the banners and announce the 75 live, talk about kicking in consistency in the teeth, all that. What was I doing? I was creating so much pressure, so much, I was going to look like the biggest idiot in the world if I didn't do it. And now we're on day 36, right? Did I say 37 earlier? Week 8. So 7 times 5 is 35, 36. We're on number 36. I'm good at math. And so, this week we're actually going to do we're going to have our halfway point. And so it would have been a lot easier for me to quit if I just randomly went live. Trust me, I had, in these 8 weeks, so going into our 8th week right now, these first 7 weeks, let's see, I got sick, like super sick. I'm not going to give credit to any names of any sicknesses, but I got super sick. Like I was sick for like 10 days. And I went live. I was sick and out of town. And I was going live. I've had times where I've had personal issues. I've had the wife out of town, the kid needs to get picked up, gone to soccer practice, client issues falling apart. Like there's been a million reasons why not to go live. But the accountability, the pressure I keep created the momentum. And I'll tell you what, yes, there's difficulties those days, but man, I'm such a flow right now. I know how to click the button, do the thing. We're going live. We're talking. We're coming up with stuff. Sometimes I come up with ideas 5 minutes before the call. Sometimes I'm thinking about it for a week or two. But we're doing it. We're in the flow. Am I going to keep going live every single day after this? Probably not. But I'll tell you what. I'm going to do it enough to keep up the momentum, the flow. This is my my pressure cooker time to just drive in that habit of creating content. Okay? So the next thing that kills momentum is, like I was mentioning earlier, and I just said a second ago, is external factors. Listen, again, I always quote this book, Stephen Pressfield. Gosh, do I always say it wrong? Is it Man, I gotta look up this book. Chelsea reminded me to look up the Stephen Pressfield book. I gotta do it. It's like The Art of War, The War of Art, something like that. Actually, gosh, I need to look it up. It's such a good book. It's a tiny little read. Stephen Pressfield, he's an author, actually, like a screenplay writer, and he talks about how anytime somebody wants to do a creative endeavor, anytime somebody wants to do something that's above themselves, like that they gotta push themselves, he talks about that there's a dragon. He calls it the dragon of resistance that comes against you, right? There is just a dragon of resistance. And go try to start a workout routine, go try to start lives, go try to start a business, go try to do something meaningful, big, impactful, that you've got to push yourself. And guess what happens? Resistance, pressure, resistance, obstacles. Oh my gosh, the thing broke, this happened. Stuff happens. Again, we talked about it. So if you're not super intentional about creating momentum, all of those little things are going to say, you know what, I'll start it again in a week. This isn't right for me. This is the type of stuff that always happens to me. Whew, be careful of that stuff coming out of your mouth. And the resistance is going to come, and you've got to make a decision that I'm going to be strong enough to push through that resistance. I'm going to be strong enough to push through, and I'm going to make it happen. Yeah, see, Chelsea, you did bring it up, and he does talk about it in this one, so it is the War of Art. Can you pull up the rest of his books? Stephen Pressfield, The War of Art. It's a good one, too. Actually, let me go to his biography real quick. Stephen Pressfield. Turning Pro. There it is. I got it. Thanks, Chelsea. Stephen Pressfield, Do the Work. That's what it's called. Do the Work. It is you can read it in an hour and a half or an hour. The Audible is an hour and 25 minutes. You can listen to it an hour and 25 minutes. You can probably read it in 30, 40 minutes. Okay. Do the Work. Actually, Chelsea, can you put the link to Do the Work in the comments? This book is phenomenal. And again, if you're trying to go do something more, you want to go make it happen. I've probably read this book 10 different times. And I'm probably due to do it again. Because the thing is we as people, we want more. So even something that seemed insanely difficult at one point, you gotta think, if you're an entrepreneur, which obviously most of this, what we do is geared towards entrepreneurs. When you went to go start, before you ever started your first business, the idea of starting a business seemed insane. It was so hard, so many obstacles, so many big leaps of faith, the jump that you make from being employee to entrepreneur. I mean, huge things, so much. And then you slayed that dragon of resistance. You did it. You did the stuff that you said you were going to do. Well, guess what? You're going to want more. you're going to have to take another leap of faith. You're going to take another leap of faith when you hire an employee, when you add a location, when you do the stuff. And so you're always, healthy people always elevate themselves for more. They want more, they want next, they want next, they want next. And guess what? There's going to be resistance. It's going to come every single time. And guess what? The obstacles are going to come. You make a decision to hire somebody and your biggest client cancels. Right. And maybe speaking from experience. So like stuff like that happens. That's the resistance. And you're going to say, am I going to give up? I'm going to quit. This isn't for me. I'm not going to work hard enough. You're going to say, no, I am pressing in. I'm going to make it happen. Do the work. That's a great book. All right. So those are 5 things, and there's obviously more that kill momentum. Right? These are the tactics of the enemy to steal what you're doing, to steal the progress that you're making, to get in the way. Okay? So now I want to talk about a few things, 7 things. I got 7 notes here. 7 things that we can do to power through and create positive momentum. Now, a lot of these we talked about as the antidote, the opposite of what kills it. But some new ideas. Okay. Boom. You ready? I'm feeling it. Okay, feeling it. So I'm going to reiterate some things I already talked about, but here it is. Write it down. Get your notebook. The 7 things you're going to be doing right now, right meow, to build momentum, to make it happen. Okay? Number 1, set that goal. Set the goal. We just talked about this a second ago. What is the desired destination you're trying to get to? Where are you going? Where are you going? What does it look like? What is it? I mean, like if I'm, why am I creating these lives? Why are we doing this thing? What are you doing? Make it clear, make it tangible, make it measurable. Great book around this. If you find willpower or stuff like this hard, over here, you can't see it, but right there, 75 Hard by Andy Frisella. Another great book about just overcoming the obstacle of lack of willpower and doubt and those kind of things. One of the main things you got to do, set the goal. Where do I want to go? Where do I want to go? So because what is momentum for? Well, momentum, we're trying to create momentum for this positive thing that we want to see in our lives. So what's the goal that you have for your family? What's the goal you have for your business? What's the goal you have for your marriage? What's the goal you have for your body? What do you want to go after? Make the goal, make it plain. And then number 2, create a routine. Okay. Momentum is going to be easiest to produce if we have a reliable routine. If our activities are haphazard, let me give you an example, working out, right? You say, I'm going to work out every day. I'm going to hit it for the next 75 days. I'm going to get it. And then you don't have a specific time that you're going to work out each day. You don't have a plan of what you're going to do when you work out. You don't have a plan the day before about getting ready. Like you just, I'm just going to work out every day. Guess what? All the stuff we just mentioned about life happening, the obstacles, all the different stuff is going to get in the way. And then it's going to be 9 o'clock at night and you're going to be like, it's too late to work out. So don't do that. Create a routine. So routines can be it's easy to stick to a routine. And one of the best things about a routine, this is kind of like an add-on to it, is set times. When are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Who are you going to do it with? We mentioned earlier about having accountability. What accountability systems are you going to put around it to make sure that you're going to do it right? Like have that plan. You have the goal. I know where I want to go. And now I have the routine. I have the mechanisms in place of when I'm going to do it. Like for me, I got to work out like first thing in the morning. Like you've heard it. I have a whole morning routine. Make my cup of coffee, read the Bible, I pray, I go on my declaration walk, and then that's my way to like get my mind right, get thinking right, move my body, get it kind of warmed up a little bit, and then I go and hit it. And I do that every single day. Every day. And for me, that routine, man, I check so many different boxes of momentum that I have. And when I have that stuff in place and I do those things, it's a momentum just for the day. That's the other cool part about momentum is positive momentum in certain areas carries over in other areas, right? Everything affects everything. If you start working out every single day, what's that going to do for your marriage? It's going to have a totally positive impact on your marriage, your business, everything. You're going to have a spillover effect. You feel better. You have more confidence. You're doing things you said you did. Like all of that stuff kind of comes into the mixture of improving other areas of your life, and that gives you more momentum you can carry over into other areas. So number 2, create a routine. Number 3, stay organized. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, again, like if you knew what you're going to do and when you're going to do it, right? You got to have that stuff detailed. Because here's the thing, the clutter of life, the clutter of thought, the clutter of external sources coming after us is going to distract us. We want to stay simple and we want to stay clearly organized. What are the things I'm going to do, right? There's I forget if he was a writer or whatever, some old German dude named Goethe said, things that matter least should never be at the mercy of things that matter most. Think about that. Obvious statement. Things that matter least must never be, or things that matter most must never be at the mercy of things that matter least. I think that's how we said it. Things that matter most should never be at the mercy of things that matter least. What does that mean? So the most important things need to be the most important thing. We need to spend most of our time doing the most important thing. But the thing is if we're not organized, we don't have the routine, we're not like clear about when we're going to do what things, we're not like thoughtful about it, the minutia of life, the external sources, right? Stephen Covey talks about the 4 quadrants, right? The urgent things, the people that are trying to get our attention, all that stuff is just going to fill up our day, distract us, cloud us out, and then we don't have anything left to do the things that are most important. And the most important things in life tend to be not urgent, right? The phone call that you got, the employee that needs the attention, all the emails you're getting, the meeting, those are urgent, but they're the most important. So the other reason why you think all this stuff stacks upon each other, right? So if you set clear goals, you know your destination, you know these routines, these little like ways that you're going to go and implement these every single day. These things are most important, but they're not urgent. So I always recommend, if you can, put them as early in your day as possible. I think it's Matt Gray. Yeah, Matt Gray. I think he has a thing called Founder OS, and he talks about like blocking off the first few hours of the day for what he calls deep work. This is deep work. What are those routines, those things you're going to do on a regular basis that are going to get you towards your end goal, and how can you put them as early as possible, create all the accountability, all the different stuff, to make sure that you're making the progress that you need in those areas. Do it first. All the other stuff is going to happen. Okay? So, next, accountability. So, we talked about that before. Any level of accountability that you can add is going to be super important for you maintaining momentum. And I talked about it at length above, so I won't spend too much time on it, but accountability partners. Again, us talking about doing 75 lives, that's an accountability. Using technology, whatever you got to do, and this works both ways, right? So remember, I said in the beginning, momentum happens both ways. So I'm saying this in a positive thing of what we're going after, but if there's something if there's a momentum in your life, a destructive momentum in your life that you need to destroy, these same things apply, right? But I actually find, I'm pretty honest about my past. You know, at 27 years old, I had a radical transformation in my life. I met Jesus, I got saved, I got transformed, I totally changed my life. And those first 27 years of my life were quite destructive. Addiction, pain, womanizing, I was a mess. And during these transition time, I had cold turkey freed myself from so many drugs and different kinds of things, and I had a very negative momentum. I had negative tendencies, the way I dealt with stress, the way I tried to have fun. I mean, all kinds of brokenness. And the only way that I could truly get free from something was not when I just tried to fight the don't do it, right? Stop doing that thing. Stop going on your computer at that time. Stop looking at that stuff online. Stop doing this. Stop doing that. Like that, couldn't do it. I had to replace it with a positive momentum. And usually it was around fitness. Usually it was something like, I'm going to run a half marathon. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, right? Like I set a positive goal, something I wanted positive momentum towards, and I created all this momentum and all this flow towards that positive thing. And then what happened was that negative thing I wanted to get rid of, smoking cigarettes, like, dude, if I'm going to work out, I'm going to go run a marathon, smoking cigarettes is not going to help my flow. It's in the way of my new goal. So you got to think about that, right? So if there's things that are destructive in your life, what kind of positive thing can you run after that makes that destructive thing just like not even satisfying anymore, not even desirable. And again, I really think throw fitness in it. There's something that happens when your body feels good, when endorphins are coming, when you feel strong, and you feel like those kind of things have this massive overflow momentum that helps curb a lot of stupid cravings, right? Like for lunch today, I had like grilled chicken and carrots. Like, what in the world? But I wanted it. I felt good. I wanted it. I'm like, man, I crushed it this morning. I don't want to eat garbage on it, right? It creates accountability in all these other areas. Okay, so accountability. Okay, next one, celebrate the wins. So I mentioned that with the writing thing. Celebrate the wins. Celebrate small wins. Like, especially early on, progress, right? Never crap on progress. Another one of my brother's words of wisdom, right? Like, if you're making forward progress towards something, don't talk trash about it. Don't dog on it. Don't like you're making progress. That's good. In fact, celebrate it, right? It's like, wow, I did this today. This is my 5th day in a row of writing every day. This is my 2nd week in a row of working out every day. Like, yes, it's awesome. It's amazing. Like celebrate it. And that's the other thing you can do with your accountability people, right? It's not bragging, right? There's people in your life, they're rooting you on, your accountability, and you're like, I did it. You know what? I've worked out 5 days a week for the last 3 weeks. People are going to celebrate that with you. It doesn't matter how much you lifted. It doesn't matter how fast you ran. It doesn't even matter if you still look overweight and feel like crap. Don't worry. Just don't stop. Keep going. You've built momentum. You got to keep reminding you. Think about how hard it is to develop that momentum. Think about how hard it is to get going. You need to celebrate it, and you need to realize how much of an achievement it is, and use that as a little bit of pressure to not stop. Who wants to stop? Right? There's a great app that gets me on this all the time. So I've been flirting with the learning Spanish for a long time. I'm not great at it, but I have a 279-day streak on Duolingo, right? And this, I mean, you talk about like the mechanism in place. That little doohickey, man, I do not want to ruin that streak. Do you know how hard it was to maintain a 279-day streak? Like I gotta get to a year, and get to a year, gotta get to 2 years. I gotta keep pushing. So like this app actually creates that mechanism. Now I'm gonna talk about another app that you can use that's really cool for this kind of stuff too. So, technology is another one of those tools that you can use to kind of like help you create that accountability in that momentum. Okay, so celebrate the small wins. Celebrate continuing to go. Celebrate yourself too. Tell people and feel good about it out of your mouth, instead of saying I'm stupid, I can't figure this out, I'm never gonna write this book. If you ever started writing a book and you've been writing for 5 days, look how much further along you are now than you've ever been before. That is something to absolutely to be excited about. Okay, so next one, stay motivated, right? And stay inspired. You gotta fill your own cup, right? And so like one thing that's really good is to see success stories of other people. Right, we're inspired by other people. I like that word, inspiration, better than motivation. Right, motivation is kind of like this temporal kind of thing that comes on you, and it's usually when you're highly motivated is you have this super fast like I'm gonna do it, and then you burn out and then you stop. Right, and that's what most people do. Right, we want to change, so we put a lot of effort, short period, burn ourselves out, stop, have to do it again. Inspiration is where there's a consistent fire inside of you, like a steady flame that keeps you going. Consistency. That's the word of the year for me. Consistency. Right? And so you got to figure out how to keep yourself in that place of inspiration. And so whatever you're going after, right? You're trying to work out, trying to get fit. Who's a couple people that you can follow that inspire you? Right? Who's a couple people that when you see what they're doing, you're like, yeah, that's good. And it's great to be inspired by, if you can get a circle, an influence of peers that you can do stuff with that inspire and mutually kind of keep each other going. Again, that's the best accountability group you can get. But, what books can you read? What things can you watch? What things can you listen to? What podcasts can you hear? What kind of things can you use to keep you fired up to be like, yes, I can do this. I'm going to keep going. And also, like, you got to continue to remind yourself of your goals. Your goals should be the biggest inspiration, right? Your goals. I have big goals, and a lot of them are tied to like my family and my wife and my kids and the life I want to give them, this and that. I got to remind myself and be like, this thing needs to stay fired up. I need to keep going. Why? Because like what I'm doing has bigger consequences than just like what I'm thinking about. I want to change the world. I want to change my family's world. I want to change generations of situation, right? Like your goals should be the biggest inspiration that you have. The things that you're trying to achieve, the people that you're going to impact. And I'll go back. I'm going to go all the way back to goals again. Your goals need to be more than just like a 10,000 square foot house and a Bentley or something. Like to be honest, those goals are lame. Like you're not going to change your lifestyle. You're not going to change the things you do for arbitrary things unless you're just super materialistic and image conscious. Those things are not drivers. No, what are goals that matter? Like the places you get to see, the experiences you get to have, the people you get to do it with, the generational impact you get, the people you get to serve, the problems you get to solve, right? It's those are the things that matter, those things that move. And so sometimes if your goals aren't inspirational enough, it's because you need a better quality goal. You need a better quality goal. I'm not saying don't have a 10,000 square foot house. I hope that you are blessed to that point that you can get that. I want a Bentley someday. That's fine. But that's not going to get me up every day to put in the work. But when I see my 10-year-old boy, when I see my team, the people who believe in me and those kind of things, those are the things to give them a better life, to create something with them that could give them something that changes their lives and changes generations and families and impact and all that stuff. Like that's the stuff. That's the stuff that inspires me, that keeps me going. So what is it? What is your thing that is inspirational? Inspirational goals. Goals that will get you up when you don't want to get up. That will make you do the work when you don't want to do the work. That's inspirational. And then last thing about creating momentum is have the goal, have the momentum, have the routines around that. But the other thing you want to be careful of is not being too strict. So again, using these lives, we're doing 75 lives. Second week, I was in Tampa. We had tech issues. I got sick. All this stuff happened. So you got to be flexible. You got to be flexible in how you're going to implement, right? If like working out, if you don't feel great one day and you're like, man, my routine, calls for me to do power cleans right now and I'm sore and I don't feel good. You know what? Go for a ruck. Put on a backpack. It's a beautiful day. Go for a ruck. Thank the Lord for all the good things you have in your life. Like the goal is not to follow the routine. The goal is the goal. The routine is a mechanism to help you get there. So don't not work out because you maybe feel a certain way. Don't not go live. Don't not go do the thing. Be flexible enough to adjust so that you're able to keep going forward. See, you gotta have to have momentum. You gotta keep moving. Some days it feels like you ran 2 miles ahead, like you just made so much progress. Some days, it feels like I'm crawling. It doesn't matter. Just keep going. Keep going forward. Keep going forward. And that is the last one, number 7. Persevere. Persevere. Now, I don't know who needs to hear this. But good things don't happen by accident. If it was easy, everybody would do it. The grand, glorious call that you have over your life is going to require grit. It's going to require perseverance. There are going to be certain times where you just don't want to do it. And you just have to make up your mind that you will. That you will, that you will. And you are going to keep moving. You're going to keep going. If it's slow, if it's this, if it's that, persevere. And that's again why that goals are so important. Your goal must be so inspirational, so big that it's enough to move you. It's enough to keep it going. So maintain your momentum. Grow your momentum. Don't let things get in the way of the flow that you're doing. And right now, take inventory. Take inventory of your life. Which things are, man, you know what? I got a little wind in my sails on this. Great. Now be intentional. How can you keep that going? How can you keep pushing? Right? Think about the other things that are most important in your life that are going to impact your goals that you're like, man, this is, sometimes you got to be really honest with yourself. So you know what? This aspect of my life is sabotaging. This is sabotaging my marriage. This is sabotaging my business success. This is getting in the way. And you got to be honest and have a sober self-assessment. And then you got to sit there and say, you know what? And today's the last day that it's going to be that way. And I decide today to turn and to start making progress, forward momentum in the other direction. Again, that word repent, people get all tripped out on the word repentance, right? It's like this Christian word and this, but what it literally means is like turn around. I'm going the wrong way. I got the wrong momentum, going the wrong way. And today, right now, I just decide. I stop, turn around, and I'm going to start moving towards the best life, good things from my life, the grand, glorious purpose that I have over my life. What a beautiful thing. You get a chance to choose that right now. Like all of us have the opportunity right now to choose to turn around and to say, I'm just not going to go that direction anymore. I'm not going to bite that trap anymore. I'm not going to fall in that pit anymore. I decide. And I'm going to persevere, and I'm going to have the goals, and I'm going to do all the things we talked about. I'm going to create momentum, and it's just bit by bit. It's like the wind of heaven blows in your sails, and it gets easier and faster and more exciting. And then all of a sudden you go like, man, I need bigger goals. My goals, I've achieved them. I need a bigger goal. I need more meaning, more purpose, more fire, and you're going to go after it. So that's what I wanted to share today. I need to pray for this. So Lord, I thank you for every person that's watched this video. And Lord, I pray that you would light a fire in their belly, that there would be a unction of your spirit that would propel them for more, God. Thank you, Lord, for the grand, glorious call that you have in their lives. Thank you for the way that you designed them. And just, Lord, right now, I pray and I just say, God, release the fullness of your divine design. Every good and beautiful thing that you had planned for each one that's watching this, God, I thank you that you're releasing it now. I thank you that you give them inspiration. I thank you that you give them passion. I thank you, God, that you give them a plan. I thank you that you surround them with really great people to help lead and guide and to be accountable and to do things with, Lord. So thank you, God, for that community. Lord, be glorified in their lives. Be glorified in their lives. We thank you, Lord. In Jesus' mighty name. Amen. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow, 5 p.m. Central Time. Tomorrow, halfway through tomorrow, is our halfway point of our 75 lives. So I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. All right, take care.